Welcome to OddTalk with Stephen Tickinen. Today I'd like to discuss some areas of coaching philosophy. The first area is I believe that coaches all need to have a philosophy on training and how they're going to deal with their athletes. Basically, mine is time and repetitions. The athlete has to dedicate the time, that could be thousands of hours and thousands of repetitions, to get better. So it's a long-term thing about developing the athlete. Also, it's all about developing yourself. People tend to talk about a 10-year rule. It takes 10 years for an athlete to understand what they're doing in their particular sport, and with this sport being weightlifting. And also they say that it takes 10 years for a coach to understand what they're doing. That can obviously be accelerated by doing more and more coaching and watching other coaches. But I still believe that there's a long apprenticeship for both the athlete and the coach. Of course, there are athletes that can go a little bit quicker than that, and there are other athletes that will go a little bit slower than that. But as a general rule, we're looking at about 10 minutes. I believe in that there is really no system as far as training is concerned. People talk about the Bulgarian system, the Russian system, the Chinese system. Basically, those systems are professional. These people train multiple times a day, nearly every day of the week, and the more sessions that you can do, more that equals more time and more repetitions. So they become better in an accelerated fashion. So athletes who are under those systems, I would consider them as professional athletes. We then have, let's say, semi-professional athletes. A semi-professional athlete, I think, is a good example at the moment is the Americans. They have a young group of athletes coming through. They get a great deal of support from their federation. Yet these athletes are thinking about the future and what they're going to do post their weightlifting careers, whereby the weightlifting professional will generally get gobbled up by the system to become coaches, managers, administrators of weightlifting within their systems. And then there's the amateur system, and I'm not saying amateur is bad. What I'm saying is that these athletes generally have to pay to do weightlifting rather than be paid. So if you look at the professional and the semi-professional, the Russian, Bulgarian, Chinese, they are being looked after in every aspect. Then we have the semi-professional, which I use as the American example, where they would get bonuses and so forth, and they would get paid, I would say, probably an average American wage. And then there's the amateur system, which we run here in Australia. And our athletes actually have to pay us coaches to enable them to train. So we have to go to work, we have to, get our education, we have to come to the gym and train, we have to do a whole bunch of other things. We just can't concentrate on Olympic weightlifting. So we have those areas. Another area that I believe in is that coaches must be open to the advancement of their athletes. What do I mean by that? Basically, a coach should have the confidence in building an athlete so then that athlete can become independent of that coach as far as programming and so forth and their own technical development. I don't believe that athletes and coaches need to be under one system and being directed by a coach their whole career. Athletes obviously know what they're doing after, let's say, that 10-year apprenticeship, and then they can work on their programming and their technical aspects by then coming to the coach as an advisor and asking them what do they think. I've set up a system in our gym where we have a 10 stage program, and if you're an athlete reaching stages 6 and 7 and further, you're starting to write your own programs. In fact, during this shutdown period, all of my athletes are writing their own programs. I also believe that you should be developing coaches. I don't think there's any point, if you're going to make the sport grow, that as a head coach, mentor coach, or whatever you choose to be, that you're not developing other coaches. If you're afraid of those coaches taking athletes away from you, then that's something that you need to look at yourself. We don't own these athletes. These athletes come to us to help them get better. They pay us, and then if they want to move on, or if they want to work with other coaches, that's fine. But we need to develop the coaches so that sport can grow and continue to grow. The last bit, probably the most controversial bit of my little chat today, is technique. I believe that there is individual technique. I don't believe that there is one type of technique. The individual technique is that you will see lifters with their own quirky ways of lifting, and your job as a coach is to make them the most efficient at those particular quirky movements that they have. Yes, there's a fundamental process of keeping the bar close to the athlete and so forth, but really what we're working on is making sure that that athlete and their particular technique is going to be the most efficient and beneficial for them. So I hope this short discussion today made you think a little bit about, as I was saying, systems, your philosophy, what you're trying to do as a coach, both for athletes and for other coaches, and then what your thoughts are on individual technique. If you have any questions, email me at coach@oddsocks.com.au. Once again, coach@oddsocks.com.au, and I hope to see you in the near future. Bye-bye.